So, Kingsman is a spy movie. What do you think has been lacking from recent films in that genre that makes Kingsman so different?
Fun, probably. I think once Bourne came along, which was, just high-octane stuff, of which, people seem to enjoy that, and there's no reason why they shouldn't. I think the humour got slightly elbowed from spy movies, which had always been part of it, really. If you think of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. or Bond, there was always a sort of element, a wry element of humour. I don't know why, but that was just the case. And then they became much more physical, militaristic, and I think what Kingsman's done is brought back a little bit of the humour to that genre.
Excellent. And what does Matthew Vaughn bring to that as well, obviously, with his talents?
Well, he has a great ability to understand what people enjoy in a film. And he always makes films that are nothing less than great fun when you go to the cinema to see them. That's obviously important to him. And, the humour that he's bringing to these films means he obviously has that. That's what he misses too. He's missing that sense of humour.
Excellent. And you're making a comedy next as well in Grimsby. Can you tell us a bit about that? And what sort of sense of humour is that?
Well, Sacha Baron Cohen's work. That kind of humour is like a laser beam that is going to literally find everything and offend everyone, and it's hysterical. I have to say, making it was a real trip because there was a lot of improvisation. But there are some sequences in there which will raise a few eyebrows.
Excellent. Is that a big change for you, obviously, from doing stuff on stage as you're doing at the moment as well, and some of the films you've done in the past? Is that a big change for you?
Yeah, it was a completely different kind of genre movie. I'd never really done much comedy. I'd certainly never done any improvised comedy. But it was a real trip. I loved it. And I have to say I really enjoyed Sacha's company. And it was really hard work at the same time, but I think the rewards are going to be worth it.
Listen, it's just been announced that you're going to be doing another military-based film, Jadaville, with Jamie Dornan. Can you tell us a bit about that one?
It's based on an incident that happened in the Congo in the 60s. It's a little-known incident, and it's interesting to me that actually there's a lot of films being made at the moment about real incidences. You look at a lot of the Oscar nominees, Theory of Everything, Imitation Game, Still Alice, all based on real events. I think there's a phase at the moment of real life stories getting made, and I think this is another one of them. But the actual incident is very interesting. There was a period in the Congo when Lumumba, the Prime Minister, was got rid of, and somebody threatened to secede Katanga from the Congo with all its mining and mineral rights. And essentially the UN, the embryo UN at that stage, sent in a military force, and it all kicked off. I think these days UN forces tend to be much more hands-off, but back then it was only 15 years after the war, Second World War. The militaristic presence meant that it was all too much, and it all kicked off. Jamie plays Pat Quinlan, who's a real Irishman who led those UN troops, and I play a character called Conor Cruise O'Brien, who was the politician who was in charge of everything.
Excellent. And just bringing it back to Kingsman finally, it's set up for a sequel. Obviously, you could potentially return. Is that something you'd be interested in, and where do you see your character Merlin going? I'm
always interested in working with Matthew. I've worked with him a few times now, and it's always been great fun. And it would be great to take it further. I mean, at the end of this Kingsman, we shot a scene where Merlin became Arthur. So I had the suit, the glasses, and I was sitting at the table in Michael Caine's seat. And they didn't use that sequence because they didn't want to round it off that way. They wanted to go a different way with the ending. So there's a possibility he could become Arthur. That would be interesting. But actually, I'd probably prefer it if he stayed Merlin and that he and Eggsy had further adventures. But, it's all in Matthew's head at the moment.
Excellent. And it is a great relationship between the two of you on screen, so I think I'd like to see that as well.
It worked really well. I got on with Tyrone, and it was surprising to me that we clicked in the way that we did. So I'd forgotten, really, that Colin was killed quite early. And actually, we end up saving the world. So if we've done it once, I'm sure we can do it again.
Excellent. I'm sure you can as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey You Guys!